You're listening to Soberoso, a show dedicated to alcoholics, addicts, survivors of abuse, overcomers of great tragedies, and those of us with mental health issues too. Each week, we invite guests and listeners from around the world to listen in as we have casual conversations with regular people like you and me who've, against all odds, turned their lives around. If you're a family member of someone suffering from alcoholism or addiction, a newcomer or old-timer, or sober curious, this show is for you. Join us now on the Soberoso podcast with your host, Dora Gosselin, in sharing our passion for recovery.
Hello, beautiful peeps. Welcome back to another episode of Soberoso, the podcast. My name is Dora, and I am your grateful host of this show. I am also a recovering alcoholic, addict, and codependent no more. If this is your first time joining us, we welcome you with open arms. And if you are a repeat listener, thank you for your continued love and support. In 2018, I walked away from a 30-year career of drinking and drugging and have been on a path of recovery ever since. I'm here to normalize conversations around these taboo subjects. I'm here to talk about alcoholism, addiction, mental health issues, abuse, and all these things that happen around the world on a humongous scale, yet are frequently not talked about. So let's talk about these things. I'm glad you're here, and let's get into the show.
Warning. This podcast deals with mature subject matter that may not be suitable for all listeners. It may contain talk of sex, drugs, alcohol, abuse, and have the occasional profanity. Our stories may also be triggering to some. We share our experiences openly to demonstrate that it is never too late to change. And we do recover.
Today we are taking a visit to Connecticut to visit my friend Laurie from Laur's World. I recently had the pleasure of guesting on her YouTube video that we'll tell you a little bit more about towards the end of the show. And I've been following this girl on Instagram. She's making some noise for recovery, which I love. I love getting that message out there. And she's one of my tribe. So if you're not following her already, please check her out on Instagram at Laur's_World of Sobriety. Hi, Laurie.
Hi, Dora.
I'm so happy that you're joining us here today, and I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more about your recovery story.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And it was such a pleasure to have you on my channel as well. We laughed. We had some great conversations. And, I say this all the time. There's certain people that you meet and instantly connect with. And that's how I felt when I met you. So Thank you so much for having me on.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure. And I think I also mentioned when I was on your show, on your YouTube channel there, that for me as well, I go into a lot of these interviews blind. I don't really like to know too much about the person because I think it brings a level of authenticity for me to be hearing my guest story first-handed. I like that surprise element, and that I don't want to know your background. I want you to tell me about you.
Yeah. Sometimes my jaw is dropped and my eyeballs are popping out and I'm like, oh my God. But I love that because I feel like I'm in not having a background on someone. I don't already have preconceived notions.
Exactly.
And I'm waiting for them to say what I want them to say. Exactly. Well, what about this or what about that? And I just want it to flow. No scripts, no nothing. Let's just have a conversation. And that's what I love. That's what I love to do.
Me as well. I like to just wing it. And I always go into one of these shows with a little prayer before I start, just hoping that this message that you and I are going to talk about right now will hit one person. If this message just reaches one person out there, it's all worth it.
Yeah.
So Laurie, let's talk a little bit about you. Why don't we start out with when your soberversary is?
My soberversary, February 16th, 2010. I'm coming up on 12 years in a couple of weeks. Woohoo!
Wow.
Yes.
You're going to be a dozen years sober?
A dozen years sober. And it's so funny, but I feel like I'm newly in recovery the last year and a half after finding the Instagram recovery world.
Wow.
It just gave me a new passion. I'm super psyched about it again, like I was way back when. And I love it. I just love it. I don't know what happened, but I love it. Awesome. I just would not have my life any other way. Honest to God. Honest to God. Yeah.
So, Laura, you're joining us from Connecticut and you've got 12 years of recovery under your belt. Did you grow up in Connecticut?
I did. I was born and raised in Connecticut. I'm the oldest of 5 children. Wow. I was born in the early 60s.
Oh, you got to experience all the free love and stuff?
Yes, I did. In the 70s, I did. Woohoo.
All right.
Anyways, very strict Italian Catholic family. And so being the oldest, I took on a role of nurturing and being very, very protective of my siblings. So I always had this thing of, I got it. I'm in control. I don't need any help. No one asked me to do it. No, no one said, you got to take care of your siblings. You got to, you have to do this, you have to do that. But I was also the first granddaughter on both sides, the first niece, the first everything. So
me too.
Yeah. I got a lot of attention, and so I wanted to be good. It's a lot of fucking pressure, man. Yeah.
And so you're the oldest. You got the spotlight on you to be good.
Yes.
So how does being the good girl turn into drinking and drugging?
Being the good girl, I didn't drink or do drugs until I was into my 30s, Dora.
Really?
Really, really, really.
Okay.
I do not have alcoholism. My grandparents, my parents, I was not brought up around it. I was brought up that, and this was the culture back then, and I'm not saying anything bad about my parents, but this was the culture. Children were seen and not heard. Mm-hmm. What happened in the house stays in the house. You do not air your dirty laundry, and children are seen and not heard. That was the way it was. So when I listen to people talk about feeling less than or not good enough, I felt all those feelings, felt them very, very strongly. And what I did was I just buried myself in schoolwork. I was a straight A student. I'd come home and show my dad my straight A's, and he'd say, "Whippy fucking dude, do you want a medal?" Like that. This is what was expected. This is what was expected,
Right.
And I smoked a little pot, but I didn't like it. I was already depressed, Dora. I didn't want to feel more depressed.
Right.
A lot of the kids in school were doing speed and acid, and for whatever reason, it just petrified me. So I never tried it. I did have one incident with a friend of mine that we snuck some of her mother's blackberry brandy for a sleepover. I was like 14, and the mother came home early. And so I guzzled the whole thing down. At 14 years old, I blacked out. And when I came to, I was covered in vomit and my girlfriend crying. I thought you died. I thought you died. And I felt like shit. And I was like, I will never touch another drop of alcohol.
Wow.
Never. And I didn't. I mean, when I say never touch a drop, if I might have had like a champagne toast or a little wine, but nothing. So I was always searching to be, I wanted to be popular. I wasn't.
But you were good.
It was so good. Kids wanted to skip school. I'd skip school and feel so bad. I'd sneak back into school. Like, I'm such a dork. Like, and you would think that like my father hit me or beat me or something, and he never did. It was never like that. I had a good childhood. I just never felt good. I was always depressed. And at 15 years old, I tried to commit suicide. And I ended up in ICU. And I remember my parents coming to see me, and I was alive. And I was like, oh God, I can't even do this right. And they let me go home. And I just said, I'll be good. It won't happen again. Just let me come home. That kind of a deal. And I remember going home and we never talked about it. I'm 57 years old. We still have never talked about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
it was just one of those things.
Back up a little bit, Laurie, and talk to me about this now. What was going on that
I just
did that at 15 years old?
At 15 years old, I just felt like I was nobody, or that I was not. I couldn't talk to my parents about anything. I probably could have. I have a great relationship with my mom. And of course, there are certain things that I don't talk to her about because she still doesn't know how to handle them.
Right.
So anything, our relationship is wonderful, and I love her, and she's a very peaceful, very, very peaceful person. My dad has since passed away. He's been gone for 20 years. He died at 59. But I felt like I didn't have any friends. I felt like I wasn't lovable. Every time I looked in the mirror, I never liked the way my hair looked, or I was always wearing hand-me-downs from my aunt. Everybody else had the cool clothes and the cool shoes. And, but I did know that if I, let somebody cheat off my paper, that they would like me. Just for that little while. It was to get something. And then it was like, push, that I was not invited to parties. I was not invited, and I was just like, I tried softball, I tried baseball, I tried doing all these different things, and I just never felt like I was good enough. And I figured, who's going to care? Nobody's going to care. Nobody talks to me anyways, not even in my not even in my family. It's how I perceived it. Right. That's how I perceived it.
Right.
And I was tired of the role that I had. I don't want to watch my little sister. I don't want to watch my little brother.
Right.
I was being a brat.
Right.
I was being a brat. And I just felt like I just was tired, and I just did not want to be here. In the meantime, my father and my mom and dad had sold our house where we lived, and we were moving. And it was my sophomore year of high school. And that was another thing. I didn't know. I had a couple of friends in school, but I didn't have best friends or anybody that I hung around with after school. And I used that, how dare you take me out of my school, all my friends, I was a drama queen.
Right.
I held the crown of a drama queen.
Okay.
Always wanting attention. It was always me. Look at me. Aren't I good enough? I always wanted that validation. And, I look at my parents, and, they're they're both working and they're raising us. We have a beautiful home and food on the table. But my dad was very, very strict. And it was like, once you hit 16, he stopped paying for everything because he's like, you're old enough to go to work.
Wow.
Get your own car, get your own insurance, buy your own clothes, and I thank him right now because I've got that work ethic of working and appreciating what it is to have, that kind of mentality of taking care of. I feel good when I do something on my own.
So, Laurie, you attempt suicide. Your parents pick you up from the hospital at 15 years old. You go home and you say, I'm going to be good.
Yeah.
And you never talk about it again.
No. And
obviously,
I don't know. We moved into a new house, beautiful new home. And I go to school the first day and I in this new school, I know no one and I'm a dork. I'm a geek. Like I just look, cause I'm like so into school. And I meet a couple of girls who are very, very Italian, like right off the boat Italian.
Okay.
So I kind of gravitate toward them because their parents are very strict. So I've got this little group of, they know what it's like to not be able to move out of your, where are you going? Who are you going to be with?
Right.
The whole nine, right? So I meet a couple of these Italian girls and I meet my future husband at 15 years old. Wow. He had just graduated high school. One of the girls that I was hanging around with, she was dating his brother and they introduced me to him. And again, very, very, very Italian. You don't go out. You don't do this. You don't do that. So again, I'm dating him for 5 years and I get married at 20 years old. And my dad's walking me down the aisle saying it's not too late. And because I'm crying, because I know that I'm going from the fire from the frying pan into the fire. He's exactly like my father. Exactly. And now it's just me. I don't have my buffer of siblings.
Right.
Don't have them. And I get pregnant right away. I have my daughter at 21. I have my son at 23. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I don't go anywhere. I have no friends. I'm just home taking care of these kids. He would come home like, oh, what's the matter? You didn't have time to dust today? Like, like always, I didn't cook the way his mother cooked, or I didn't do this, and I didn't do that. And somebody asked me if I wanted to try cocaine.
When you're a stay-at-home mom?
Yeah, stay-at-home mom. I was working part-time, but he didn't even want me to be working part-time because I was going to meet somebody else and I was going to leave him and meet somebody else because, I was outside.
You have some independence and feel good about yourself.
Yeah. I'm gonna find somebody else. And I'm like, oh God. I tried cocaine at the age of, I want to say 28 or 29 years old for the first time. And I was like, what is this? I don't even know what it is. Probably shouldn't be, but all right, I'll try it. Oh, it makes you feel really good. And I tried this little line and I did it. And I was like, I don't feel anything, nothing. It's doing nothing. And
that's an addict.
I go into the bathroom and I see a little spot on my wall and I start cleaning it. And now I'm cleaning the whole bathroom. I am singing a song. I come out and I said, oh my God, I want another line. Please. Yes. So that was my first drug of choice was cocaine.
Wow.
And for, alcohol came into it a little bit because I was starting to realize that if I mixed, if I was too high, I could come down. And if I was too low from the drinking, I could come up a little bit, and it turned into a full-fledged addiction. I was pawning jewelry behind his back. I was, oh God, you name it. And I was using it as an excuse and anything to get money because he held onto the purse string. So it was, I had to be sneaky. I was very sneaky.
Wow. So your addiction and your intro to cocaine is all while you're at home being a mom.
Yep.
So you're not like going out to party.
Nope.
You're just like,
nope. Never been out.
Mom, getting a real clean house and things are getting done.
Yep. And that was it. But I started to get this confidence. I could start yelling back.
Yeah.
I could start asking for what I want. I could say, you know what, you're an asshole. Don't tell me what to do, that kind of deal. And so fighting starts. But I would never do it in front of my kids. I would never do it in front of the kids. But they knew something was not right. They knew something was wrong. And I finally got the courage to ask for a divorce. And I was 33 years old. And I was like, I'm out of here. You're nothing but a, loser. And you make me want to drink and do drugs. And you're no good. Out of here. I'm fucking out of here. Right. And so I walked into my first bar at 33 years old. I had arrived.
Girl, yeah.
Girl, I had a lot of making up to do.
Oh, hell yeah.
I had never been into, this was, when I was in my 20s, it was the disco year. So I missed out on all the disco years.
Oh.
I missed out on all of that, all of it. And I was going to make up for it in spades.
So was this in the 80s then that you walk into the first bar? When is this?
This was like, I'm trying to think, like probably early 90s. So I think we got divorced in like 95, 96, around there. Yeah, it was in the 90s.
Wow. So you're just like a kid in a candy shop.
I was a dog out of a cage.
Oh, yeah.
Woohoo! OMG. Now I, color my hair. I buy my first cashmere sweater, my first pair of tight jeans, a bag full of makeup, and off I go.
Woohoo! Party time.
I am smoking. I am doing as much coke as many guys. Like this is so much fun. I am loving it. Woo.
Oh my God.
You're listening to Soberoso, sharing our passion for recovery. God almighty, what a ride. What a ride.
Oh,
damn, girl.
Yeah.
It was a fucking blast until it wasn't a fucking blast anymore.
Right.
It's the same old story. I started working in bars and restaurants. My cocaine dealer asked me if I wanted to sell some coke at a place that I was working at. And I'm like, sure. And I got 5 8-balls. Do you think I sold one? No, I did not. No.
Yeah.
It was all for me. The higher I got, the better I felt for that moment. And then it was the morning after, waking up or coming to and going, oh my God, who the fuck is that?
Right.
Where are my keys? Why do I have bruises?
Right.
What did I do to myself? And now the self-loathing starts all over.
Yep.
Every day.
Yep.
Every single day.
And you know what the only cure to get over that is? Do it again.
Do it again. Do it again. By this time, my mom and my dad are pretty much watching the kids all the time for me, or my sister. Somebody's always watching them because, of course, I don't want them to see me like this, but I've got excuses. I was working 5 jobs at the time.
Wow.
I was working at a little place where they did mortgages part-time, and then I would go to a lunch thing for a lunch shift at one restaurant, then go to as a cocktail waitress at night, catering on Saturday, Sunday mornings. I was doing a breakfast at this little diner. Anything that I could get my hands on, money to feed my addiction. That's all I cared about. So I didn't think I had a problem because I was working 5 jobs.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you got your shit handled.
It's all good, right?
Yeah.
For the love of sweet baby Jesus, every time I think about it, I burst out laughing now. I used to cry. I used to cry. I would never tell anybody, these things that I was doing or feeling, because I just, even in early sobriety, I couldn't tell my story. I was just like, no, I'm good. This is too serious. And why are you people laughing? And
but you know what, that Laurie that you're talking about right now, I just had another guest on that we were having a chat about, and this is a part of our healing.
And now back to the Soberoso podcast with your host, Dora Gosselin.
When we start out, we are so full of shame because this stuff that you're talking about right now and laughing about was the shit that we kept a secret, and that's why we kept doing it and kept getting more fucked up the next day, is because that shame cycle set in.
Yeah.
And now
so I want to forget about it. I just want to forget about it. And oh my goodness, I didn't know what I did, who I did it to, I was like, oh God. People would say to me, Jesus Christ, like, can't you just behave, again, can't you just be good?
Right.
I was good for so fucking long. I just was like, I was being the worst.
This is my time.
Just over the line, constantly over the line. And I just didn't know how to stop it. And in walks husband number 2.
Okay.
I meet him.
Let me back you up 1 minute here, Laurie.
Yep.
So you said that some people were saying, can't you behave? So that means you had outside people noticing your behavior?
Oh God, yeah. I was the proverbial dancer on the fucking table, girl. Like it was like, woo! Like karaoke. I can't carry a tune, but I would be up there like that. Just
dancing on the tables,
and then it was like, oh my God, it's 2:00 already, and then let's go to an after hours. And
okay, yep,
girl,
yep, check.
Oh, for the love of sweet baby Jesus, and then walk out to the birds singing, going, oh shit! Like I'm mad that it's not night again. I can't wait for the night to come again because I liked it better when it was dark.
Yes.
And it was just a vicious cycle. And so, I ran into somebody, a girlfriend of mine. It was her brother. I hadn't seen him in a really long time. Great guy. We fell fast and hard for each other. We're married within a year. But he says to me, Dora, before we get married, he says, you know what? I love you. I think you're great. But I dated somebody that had a cocaine problem, and I can't be a part of that. But you are who you are. If you want to continue to do that, go ahead, but I can't be with you. And that was my perfect excuse. No, I'll be good. I could give this up for you. Up for you. And I did. It was a little difficult in the beginning, especially when you're having a couple of drinks, but I got over that. And then I'm starting to put into my head, well, it does cost me a lot of money, so I'm better off.
Right.
But my drinking quadrupled. It quadrupled. I could not get enough. But nobody's going to say anything to you when you're drinking. And, I had
not doing coke.
I'm not doing coke. I'm not doing coke. I had a great job. I had this beautiful home up in another part of Connecticut. I dedicated one whole room to being a bar. And when I tell you a bar, girl, I mean a bar. It had a name.
What was it called?
Scruples.
All right.
We had a karaoke machine. We had a dartboard in there. I had pub tables. If you wanted a mixed drink, some crazy martini list was on the pub tables. I would make it for you. I had everything. Like I was, you want graham cracker crumb rim around your what drink? I got you.
Wow. But you weren't doing Coke.
I wasn't doing Coke. Girl. I threw some parties.
Wow,
People always wanted to come over to my house. Beautiful bottles of wine, Maryland Merlot bottles that I was doing a collection of. Like it was something, all right. Oh, good grief, Charlie Brown. But yeah, I love martinis. I love vodka. That was my thing. Or if I wasn't doing vodka, I was, Southern Comfort and Diet Coke was my thing. And I could drink a whole half handle a night. That's what I was up to.
So how long of this before you realized that there was an issue?
I would say we got married in 1999. I got sober in 2010. Around 2007, 2008, I started to notice some health issues with my stomach. I was blacking out every single time. I was waking up in the morning or coming to in the morning and I could just feel the chilliness in the air. So I knew I did something wrong and I didn't know what. So I'd say, what did I do? And he's, remember what you said. And I'm like, if I remembered, I'd be telling you, I wouldn't be asking you.
Right.
And for the first time, and I think this was probably in 2008, I said, I think I have a drinking problem. And my husband's response was, you think you have a drinking problem. You know what your problem is? You can't stop after one. You have no willpower. You just got to keep going and going and going. And I'm like, you're right. I'm going to be better. I'm going to do good. I'll be good. I'll just have one.
I'll be good. I promise I'll be good. Well, that seems to be the theme of your life so far, Laurie.
I'll be good. And well, Dora, I mean, I'm sitting here 12 years sober, so you know how this goes.
Yeah.
One is never enough.
You're still good. You always
were. No. I can't do one. I cannot do a half of one. I can't do one shot. I can't. One sip. I would feel the adrenaline going through my body, and it was like, it's like a light switch. Mm-hmm. Like, party's on.
Yeah.
I cannot stop. So I have a younger brother. His name is John. He won't mind me telling him. He's very, he recovers out loud. And we're 12 years apart. I'm the oldest. He's the youngest. And he was living in New York City and then moved out to Los Angeles. And oh God, could we party? Could we party together? But he started to go in and out of rehabs. And I was like, good, you really need it.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Honey, good for you.
Yeah.
But I started to think like, oh man, maybe let's see how it goes for him. And then I'll
think about it.
I'll let him go first. Yeah, I'll let him go first. But he went in and out of rehab a couple of times. And the last time he was in rehab, which was in 2008, he walked out of rehab early and said to me he was going to try this 12-step program of AA. I go, what the fuck is that? Like, but you're paying so much money to go to this rehab. Right. Why do you want to go with a bunch of old people?
Right.
Like I did not get it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to try it. This is what I'm going to do. And he calls me and but we're not talking about it. I'm not asking him really, but I do notice some changes in him. And I'm like, wow, okay. And he calls me up and he says, I would love for you to come out to LA. I'm celebrating 1 year of sobriety. I was so excited for him. I was truly excited for him. I loved that he was doing this. He said he felt so much better. I was kind of wondering why I was the only one getting invited, but okay.
Right.
So Los Angeles, California, I walked into my first AA meeting and I watched my brother take a cake.
We are not affiliated, nor do we represent AANA or any of the anonymous programs in any way, shape, or form. However, some of our discussions and guest stories may contain references to these organizations. At Soberoso, we celebrate all paths to sobriety.
And wow. I loved watching that. I was drunk, mind you.
But did he share his story at that 1 year?
He did. He did. Wow. And I was listening. There was like 150, 200 people there. And I was just like in awe and people raising their hands and sharing. And I was like, there was something happening in this meeting. And I was like, wow, I'm feeling something here. And, you know, I know now that it was a connection, it was a connection. And when I left there, you know, what that did for me was planted a seed. Obviously, I planted a seed. So a few months later, I decided I was going to do it, but on my own. I wasn't going to go to a 12-step meeting. I'm just going to do it on my own. I did go to a counselor for drugs and alcohol, but of course I lied my ass off.
Yeah, that's what we did.
I lied. He was kind of cute too. So I lied. I didn't want him to know what a fucking mess I was.
Right.
So everything was fine. But for like 6-7 weeks, I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. I was on a diet. I was so good.
Yo, there you go.
And I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. And my brother's friend asked me to come out to Vegas. He was doing somebody's hair for this big show that was out there. And so I got invited and we went to the after show party and I'm meeting all kinds of celebrities and they're drinking and smoking pot. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Good Charlotte over there, the band. Like I just was surrounded by all of this. And I didn't touch it.
Wow.
I didn't touch it. I was good. I was like a 36-hour thing, just go. I went to the show. I came back and I said to myself, see, I'm not an alcoholic.
Yes.
I did all of that in front of, there was enough Coke to choke a horse, drinks flowing, all free. I could have, and I said, and I didn't want it and I didn't do it. And so I'm good.
I'm cured.
Maybe now I could try just the one. So now that I gave my body a break, my head is a little clear. Now I've got that willpower because I could take it or leave it.
Right. Now maybe you've got the control.
No.
Nope. We know how that ends up.
Yeah.
1 is too many and 1,000 is never enough.
Never, ever, ever, ever. I did this for about another year and a half. And at the last 3 to 4 months of this craziness, I'm not going out anymore. I'm staying home because I don't know if I could get home anymore because I don't know if I'm going to black out. So I don't even want to take my chances. People are saying I'm putting on quite a show and oh, well, I don't know.
Show me the videotapes.
So now I'm embarrassed now. So I'm just going to stay home and nobody will see me and nobody will know. But the last few months, I told you I was born and raised a Catholic, and some of my family members had broken away from the Catholic Church and they were doing something different, born again Christian or Southern Baptist or Protestant. Like they were all breaking off. I started calling each and every one of them, drunk out of my mind, girl, but asking them, so what's your religion like? Like I was searching for like, no, I don't like that. Nah. What do you mean I can't wear, what do you mean I can't wear pants? Like, you got to wear a skirt like over your knee. Like, I was like, what? All these different things. And I was like,
Is there wine in your communion?
Yeah. Sure, please. And I just kept saying, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. But I do know that I was searching for something spiritual, something to fill this hole inside of me. And I know that now that's what I was doing. I had called like 5 or 6 people and I was just like, this is just crazy. This is just crazy. But of course, my second marriage was coming to an end. Shocker.
Bar was closing.
Yeah. Last call. Fuck. So we were going to go to marriage counseling. And the date was January 8th, 2010. And the reason why it sticks in my head was that day I was waiting to go to marriage counseling. My son, who was at the time 23 years old, came into my office. And he was a very depressed kind of kid. And I just, I knew what depression was. So I knew what it was on his face. I could feel it in his heart. I talked to him from time to time, but I was so messed up myself. I couldn't ask him to stop smoking pot. I know he was smoking pot. If I asked him to do that, then I'd have to stop drinking. So that would be hypocritical. And I just, looking at his little face, and he's just like, Mom, it's not because I said, I think you're smoking too much pot. I finally said it. You're too depressed and, you're weepy all the time. And he was a very thin kid anyway. So I had, I said, you got to eat something. You got to eat better. And he announced that he was addicted to heroin and that he could not get off. And my knees buckled, Dora. I seriously was in shock. I was like,
I had no idea.
Not one iota. Because what I thought was heroin was not my kid. What I thought was an alcoholic wasn't me. So it's those preconceived, judging, that,
Stigmas.
The stigma.
If you are serious about getting clean and sober, and you are ready to make big changes in your life, join us at Recovery in Paradise, where we are offering a 90-day inpatient program for men in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. We have a full English-speaking support staff ready to help you overcome your alcoholism and addictions. Start your recovery in the tropical destination of Puerto Vallarta with us. Visit our website for more info at www.recoveryinparadisepv.com.
And I was just, it brought me to my knees. And, I did go to this counseling meeting for my marriage. And as luck would have it, the counselor was an ex-alcohol and drug counselor. So that's what the whole meeting was about. My husband was just like, dude, it's your kid. I don't care, whatever. Our marriage was fucking gone anyway. So it was, I again put him on the back burner. I got something else to do here, thinking that he would just, we'll work it out later. And that started the process of, I say that was the day my recovery started, because now I'm checking him into detox, and I'm in a detox place looking around the room going, oh my God, this is what I thought heroin looked like. These kids that their faces were so like just drawn in. They were so sick. Who was rolling on the ground? And here's my kid in a polo shirt and a backpack. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
Like, what the fuck is going on? And I went outside and I puked in the parking lot. And he had to stay there for 3 days. Someone, one of the intake nurses was like, we don't get 23-year-olds that want to be here. We get them like that, kicking and screaming or arrested. Right. So I think he might have a chance. He's asked you for help. I think he's got a chance. And I was like, wow, okay. So he goes off to his to rehab, and that begins my journey as well. The meetings, I start going to Al-Anon. I start going to, because he's got the problem, not me.
Of course. Yep. We're just going there to support. Yep.
I am learning so much about addiction at this point. I'm a good paper. I am a straight A student, girl.
You're
I got the pen, the paper.
You're a nerd. You're a good girl.
So I got a piece of paper and a pen, and I'm taking really good notes, and this is what I'm going to do. And okay, we got this.
Yeah.
I'm sending him to this rehab. Take him, fix him, and send him back to me. Okay.
Yep.
And I'll take it from there. I'm going to take the notes that you gave me.
Right. I got my highlighter. Got this.
Jesus Christ, oh, fucking mighty. Wow. Well, on February 14th, 2010, I was invited to a meeting with Nicholas, his father, and my mom, his three biggest enablers.
Oh.
Grandma, mom, and dad. And we sat there for 3 hours, and like I said, I'm taking notes, and I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, but something hit me on the side of the head. I closed my book. I put my pen down, and I'm like, holy fucking shit. I need help.
Wow.
I need help. I can't do
like
this
light
for
bulb.
him.
I got a problem.
It was a smash upside of my head. Like, an aha moment was not the word for it. It was like, girl, you don't got nothing. You don't even got yourself. You need help. And I called my brother and I asked him what I needed to do. I didn't want to go to rehab because, I'm so important at work. They're not going to be able to work without me.
Right. Oh, yeah. Company's going to fall apart.
Of course it is. And I don't want to tell anybody. So how do I do this, but sneakily? He said, pick up go online. There's a million meetings all over the place. I'm sure there's one in your area. So I said, okay, but I wanted my last hurrah. So I drank myself silly. I called my son in rehab to apologize, to apologize for passing along the addiction gene, because now, because it's hereditary.
Right.
I'm so sorry that you're an addict. I'm so sorry.
My fault.
It's all my fault. I'm sorry that you're gay. I'm sorry that you're lactose intolerant. Like, I was just like, oh my God. And my husband's screaming at me, what are you saying these things to him for? He's got to know how sorry.
Oh my goodness.
He's like, Mom, it's okay. It's okay. And I said, I'm going to get myself help. And we're going to do this together, Nicholas. You and Mom, we're going to do this together. We're going to be the shining example of how recovery works.
Wonderful. And Woo! That was your first day, 12 years ago almost.
Yep. Woo! February 16th. 2010, I walked into my first meeting, and I walked into a meeting that I thought was going to have 150 or 200 people in it, and it had 7.
All right.
So I couldn't hide.
That's where I started. 6 or 7 people.
They asked my name. I said it was none of your business because this is anonymous. How long have you been sober? I said, I don't know. What time is it? Like,
when do you start counting?
Yeah. So that was 12 years ago. And I'm really happy to say that I have not had one relapse since then.
Wow, Lord.
My recovery in the beginning was not very easy. And I did that to myself because I didn't want to take suggestions. I didn't want anybody telling me what to do. Mm-hmm. I'm not drinking. So what else do you want from me?
Right.
Leave me alone. Come to the sober picnic. Come here, do it. And I'm there going, oh my God, I'm with a bunch of freaking weirdos. Like, what? A sober picnic? Like, I just, nothing was funny. Everything was serious. How could you laugh? I fought it. I fought it so much. And, I had all the yets. I hadn't lost anything like everybody else was talking about. So of course I'm not identifying, I'm comparing. Oh God, I never had a DUI. I've got a really great job.
I'm not that bad.
I'm not that bad. And so I would sit there going, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. I don't know, but I'm doing it for my kid at this point. Mm-hmm. And hey, you know what? Whatever gets you through, well, because it did get me
through the door.
That's what got me through. And I just remember in my first year of sobriety, I lost my career. I lost my car. I lost my house. My son relapsed. My husband asked me for a divorce. In my first year, I got arrested for something that I did while I was in active addiction. I did all of these things and I didn't drink.
Wow.
I didn't drink. And I think it's because I just couldn't think straight. It was like so many things were happening. And my mother, because now I'm 45 years old, living with my mother. And we came home from something and there was the papers. My husband had asked me for a divorce. That was like the last thing. And she just looked at me and she said, oh my God, honey, I am so sorry. One thing after the other this year. Oh my God. And I said, you know what, Mom? I'm sober. Nicholas is alive. I gotta really work on this thing because nothing that is happening to me is going to be made any better by a drink. And that didn't come from me. That was listening to everybody else that I thought was an asshole. That was listening to everybody else. And it's like, and it just kept sticking in my head. What good is this going to do? What good is it going to do? None. Zero.
That is a beautiful point, Laurie.
Yeah.
And that's where we get to in recovery. There is nothing that a drink or a drug is going to help in our lives.
Nope.
And you know what? I am just so pleased to have you on this show. Our time has just flown by.
I know.
So for anybody that is listening to this beautiful woman, Laurie, describe her story. If you want more of her, please go check her out on YouTube and Instagram at Laur's World 3 on YouTube and Laur's World of Sobriety on Instagram. Follow her, comment on her videos on YouTube. So, Laurie, our time has just come and gone, but I would love to have you back on the show at a further date to pick up this discussion.
Let's do that. Let's talk all about recovery next time. How's that? We'll do a part 1 and part 2. I love it.
There you go. Part 1 and part 2. And part 1 was what? About being a good girl.
Being a good girl. Good girls gone bad.
There you go. Love you, girl. Thank you so much.
I love you too, honey. Mwah. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, beautiful peeps. If you are enjoying the Soberoso podcast, we kindly ask that you show us some love and show us your support. There are 3 ways you can do that. 1, by wearing and sharing your passion for recovery with Soberoso and the world by purchasing one of our t-shirts from our website. 2, sign up for a reoccurring donation of $5 to $10 a month using the red Show Some Love button located at the top of our website. Or 3, help us reach more people with this message of recovery by sharing the Soberoso podcast with others. And if you are an Apple user, please give us a star rating and a review. I am your grateful host, Dora, and until the next time, stay safe, stay sober, and to thine own self be true.
Please hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to the Soberoso podcast and help us normalize conversations around alcoholism and addiction recovery. You can join us on Instagram and Facebook at Soberoso and follow your host, Dora Gosselin, on Clubhouse. You are not alone, and we do recover. Wear and share your passion for recovery with our His and Hers merch. Visit us at www.soberoso.com.